Hello and welcome to Wild Eric's Traveling Podcast. This podcast is a poetry podcast. I'll be starting off by reading you a poem called A Morning to Remember. The morning light caresses me into new infinities. The trees stretch their arms and release their leaves in the breeze. Harvest sky. A wind brushes my cheek like a long-lost high school sweetheart. The dawn rushes in and fades away through the day like a tide of the sea. Light wedges its way through a crack in the glass. Lasers across my face burn back the past. It was always and forever will be, for the primal vision of love installed in each of our neocortex. Painters like us can't hide from the colors, dying to race out of our fingers like cannonballs from Dimension X. I want to kiss your face until we buckle into rest, rolling the day away in a cornfield of dreams. Second and third chances were sent airmail this morning. We found that forest door that opens for true chasers, because I'm more primed now, more than ever, to fall madly into a shower of ricocheting Cupid bullets, into the books we would read together, tucked away in that one last magical island. Steal as many kisses as your thieving cat eyes can muster. What time we once lost has been found in the storm of blinding light. All regrets eradicated. The ship's been built. We just have to raise the sails and trust in the name of Jesus. I've only left the United States once. It's when I went to Canada to see Denmark sensation Aqua. You really have to hear their entire catalog to understand why. How many of us have ever had the opportunity to see far-off lands? And some people are born homebodies and don't even have that desire. I tell people, if everyone was a gypsy adventurer, there would be no cities or towns to travel to. But that's not us, is it? We are the adventurers, the artists, the painters, the poets, the philosophers. And just for today, maybe you can pretend you're one of us. Dive into the painting of a thick and rich morning sky. Fall in love all over again. It can happen today with each whispering sunrise. You can believe in love again, even if you've stopped believing. All you have to do is allow yourself to dream a dream of love, to disappear into a sea of possibilities. Set your sails high and wide, taking new breathy breezes deep into the nostrils of your soul. Set your course. Go for exactly where you want to go, even if it seems impossible. Don't you see? This is the only way to live the game, because it's that vision of everything you've ever wanted, that stirring emotional need from the bottom of your soul. It's the only thing that can infuse you with the passion of a life worth living. The land of your dreams is the only place worth fighting for to go. Then every day will seem like a thrill to live, because you have the courage to go after it all, and pushing through the storms will refine your self-esteem razor sharp. On the path of your dreams, let your fuel be love for your fellow man. If you can love your neighbor as much as so much, if you can love your neighbor so much, it's impossible to hate him. Miracles will sail you to your destiny. If you lack love, ask God, but then step out in faith. But you have to fight the war with everything you've got and trust He's right beside of you. Trust the bigger plan. Write an end to your story that everyone will remember, because you fought hatred and you dared to do it all. It's time to fly, Wendy, happy, innocent, and heartless. Peter and Wendy, 1911. It was the conversation with my brother today when it hit me. Long-term travel was like a small death. All intimate relationships are now reduced to phone conversations and texts. Why do you have to be heartless to fly? Because the pain of missing those you leave behind would otherwise be unbearable. I envy those who are homebodies and townies, and in some ways, I'm the... I can't read my own writing. In some ways, I'm sure that blah 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 blah. No, I got it. And in some ways, I'm sure they envy me. I envy those who are homebodies and townies, and in some ways, I'm sure they envy me. When you're poor, there's a temptation to work more hours in order to get ahead, but what you gain in dollars, you lose in heart and soul, missing out on the human intimacies that make life worth living. When I was a taxi driver in Las Vegas, a man from Europe said to me, "In America, it's work first and life second. That's not the way it is in Europe." I'm about to find out firsthand if that's true, and I hope, dear reader, you'll come with me. Bergen, Norway, Brighton, England, those are our first destinations. 2 months in Bergen, 1 in Brighton. After that, we'll have to see how much money I have. Ever wanted to influence the outcome of a book? PayPal, Wild Eric 777. Now you can. I'm not exactly a stranger to travel. I was born in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, and lived in Lakewood, New Jersey, till I was 13 3/4. 1991. I remember the time well because Street Fighter II had just taken over the local arcades. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner, was taking theaters by storm, and we'd run around and quote, "I'm gonna cut your heart out with a spoon, Loxley." Much to my teenage horror, my parents announced that we were moving to North Carolina. A small death would occur. It always bothered me that my parents don't seem to take their children's neighborhood friendships that seriously. How dare they take me away from my close childhood friends, George, Chris, David. And in school, I was just getting popular and getting really close to finally winning the heart of Elizabeth Korn. And there was my duality. You see, the prior summer, I had visited North Carolina and stayed with my Uncle Mike and cousin Jessica. They were also in the video game culture. A few years prior, we had just beaten Super Mario Bros. 2 together, and I was filled with new dreams of what would it be like to live in North Carolina. I made a friend with a guy named BJ and fell for a cute girl in the youth group named Jessica Stewart. People in North Carolina talk funny, and if you can find a Sabrett hot dog here, man, he likely got here by stepping through a dimensional portal. People often ask what is it like to grow up in such a place, but I feel as a child I spent more time in my imagination than in New Jersey itself. As far as I could figure, these are the facts that made up my childhood consciousness. Let's time travel back to my first memories in 1982. In 1982, they had these exercise bikes that actually had rotating wheels and spokes. Hypnotized by the spinning wheel, and my brother singing the song "Let's Get Physical" by Olivia Newton-John. I put my hand into the spinning wheel, and it ripped off my 3-year-old thumb. My father quickly rescued me loudly and called my brother a dingbat, and we were poof off to the hospital. I've read in a book once that children who have a near-death experience develop astronomical creativity. This might be due to having escaped from reality and having your thumb ripped off, for example, thus forcing your daydream glances to work overtime to cope with the geyser of blood. No, what I'm saying is this. Let me go back. This kind of experience, having your thumb ripped off, it forces your daydream glands to work overtime to cope with the geyser of blood. As I was being rushed into the ER, I remember the nurse giving me a lollipop. The doctors told my parents the reattachment wasn't working and my thumb was beginning to rot. To make a long story short, have you heard of Jesus Christ? After my mom commissioned her church to pray for the thumb was soon healed. Although it kind of looked like a Nintendo B button. Which brings me to my second memory, Atari. We should probably skip all that, unless you guys want to go over Atari games. Anyways, let me get back to some poetry. That was just a crazy essay. Okay, this is version 2. Escape with me into introspection seas, where we contemplate the dream. I want to write of love and romance, yet that's not where the tides and winds from within are sailing me. That's later. I was driving through a low-lit field of tree arms, cutting the sunlit sky into an abstraction wet with paint. A portal opened to my childhood, where we combed the streets riding bikes like young braves on horses, the days where life was a blazing fantasy. I used to think that castles were somewhere tucked away in the pine barrens of Lakewood, New Jersey. When I got older, I found out if I would have gone back into the forest far enough, there really are castles. Perhaps the faith of a child can open portals to other worlds. If you allow your inner child to live, you'll find he's still dreaming dreams. I read once, if children have a near-death experience, they may come back with an extremely creative mind. The kind of mind one only gets from blocking out pain, I cannot say. When I was 3 years old, I gazed into the glimmering, spinning wheels of a 1980s exercise bike. I was hypnotized, if I dare say, for reasons I'll never know, and God help me, I don't know why. I drove my thumb into the spinning wheel of a 1980s exercise bike. God help me. Why, in those days, were they using actual bicycles on mounts for exercise bikes? Red rainbows of crimson slime fanned across the room. It was like the world's greatest genius dropped DMT and ran screaming through the halls of the Library of Alexandria. I know what you're asking. Who was on the bike? No one was on the bike. There was, however, someone on the ground cranking it, singing the song Let's Get Physical by Olivia Newton-John. That was my brother, Bob. And it's to him I owe all of my creativity. In high school in North Carolina in 1994, I took a computer graphics course in hopes of being a video game programmer. I accidentally erased the teacher's files and was thrown out of the class. So I chose drama class instead. My parents were soon called because I kept doing all my monologues dressed as Alice Cooper. It made them better. What can I say? The kids loved it, not so much the teacher, but isn't that the sign of great art? On one of my silent performances, I even used the instrumental track from 1986 Transformers soundtrack. I was acting out a bank heist. In high school art class, I was in love with a gothic nightmare named Rachel, but I didn't know. Oh, I gotta pause that. Someone's coming outside. But I didn't know how to talk to women back then, and I was the Jesus kid who listened to Alice Cooper. Ironically, Rachel's favorite band was Marilyn Manson. Still, even though our love was never meant to be, we still became good friends, and we had at least 2 art classes together in high school. But I was the Jesus guy in high school, and my youth group was the best. At first, we had a strange dad jokey guy named Lance as our youth leader who made us sing songs like I'm Not Your Stepping Stone, and I'm very glad, and a very sad song about Peter being crucified upside down. Soon after, the youth group was rescued by a charismatic Alabama guy who looked so young we thought he was one of us. He quickly began teaching about how to cast out demons, and that's where it all got really cool. He even let me do short skits where I dressed up as a biker named Zartan Merrimax, and I beat a pile of burning, evil, discarded items and books with a baseball bat in a field. We played this song by a Christian death metal band called Burn Satan as I smashed these burning items in my youth group. There were a lot of beautiful girls in my youth group that I flirted with. Somehow I never actually dated any, though. But I came close to dating a Wiccan girl I met at a customer service at the center of Oak Hollow Mall. Nadine is the closest thing to being in love that I ever experienced, and we never even dated. There may be many compatible romantic matches for many people, but so far I think there may be only one for me. I still haven't met her, but Nadine was the closest thing I've ever seen. Poem of Loss. Do you ever get a sense of loss when you see a beautiful young couple? Like that feeling that you can't even believe you missed the ferry to the land of dreams? You can't help but ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Or is it just the shuffle of the deck? Am I stubborn, or am I waiting for someone I consider as alive as I am? A dingle-doty. I fell in love on Halloween night. She was dressed as a fairy, I was dressed as greed. As soon as we kissed, it was better than glue because I didn't leave her side till the first breakup. To quote my friend Kenny, the beginning was easy, but it always is. We're in such love we needed a cage. I still love the girl, but we went our separate ways. Sometimes when the love is real, the math still doesn't add up. It's like a cripple running so fast he forgot he didn't have legs. Love is an assassination, and then it's a web. It's like a prison you don't actually want to leave, but eventually your mind sets your parole date. It's like that 8 seconds that you ride a bull. Eventually gravity will throw you, even if you make it 9 seconds. I find if I stare at her photo long enough, I feel every emotion a human can have. I could write a book about her, but I won't, because when I get drunk and out of it, I can see her in my mind's eye, clearer than you would think possible. I know I could love like that. To know I could love like that is enough to justify our beginning and our end. Like she used to say, you don't love me, you just want a story to tell. She was only wrong about the first part. Soul hunger. Sometimes we have nothing to say, but we have to rub the sticks together anyway. We need to stare into the flames of a campfire and dream of purpose. I must resist these urges of the flesh, drained by the day's work, but in the words of Megatron when he was floating into what he thought was his death, I still function. It's a purple dream night. Will I catch myself clawing the chalkboard, begging to have enough energy to be artistic? Tonight, the taste of spicy pickle slices reminded me of that kiss I have on the side. Tonight, the taste of the wind reminds me of something from the past that I just can't put my shoes on. Too tired to be this worked up as I'd like to be. So tired I didn't show up at the bar on free food night. They can't all be days that nourish your soul, but I wish they could be, and that's what I'm fighting for. You ever meet your wife, but she's actually already married to a guy that seems cooler than you to the naked eye? It's amazing how a woman can shatter your focus, make your blood curse through your veins like running children dragging sharp sticks across old wooden fences. Is love that story you tell yourself, the best one you can create? She reminds me of when I was attracted to my teachers when I was young, to have them, those impossible walls. Her profile is so stunning it makes me want to jump off a bridge to my death. I craft here we are to explore. Times are fast, hot like light. I could use a kiss, yes, even a bite. Can you be the one and only tonight? Mistletoe's on fire, as dangerous as the coldest snow. For some reason, belching relieves anxiety. Grandpa Joe knew, Charlie knew, do you know? I feel like there's a cloud of possibility robing me. Cigarettes are stupid, but not as stupid as when I see her golden green eyes. She's a time machine, a way to get stuck in the past, a paradox molded into a female sharp glass. Welcome to the Department of Mystery. Did you know there's a house in England that disappears and reappears every 20 years? I'm feeling Chandrerian again, but the future is that rising green hill after a drunken spill. I'm full of Einstein's big idea, and growth frenzy is just getting cooking. Lena Magdalena, if you saw her face, you'd be in deliria, the Cuban that got away. I was trying to talk about the beauty of existence, not quite as savory without a kiss from a woman of deep magic. And the cigarette butt is the only one. It starts with a forest, a tender rain. It begins with a girl pale and soft. She runs in her dress barefoot and headed to a warm house, a nicotine rush and rumbling high, sweet as the birds and whispering whiskey by the fire. Control comes and takes my hand, lays me down on sensuous furs. She's a simmering seduction. The smoke is clean and moonbeams cut perfect through the frozen window glass. She's Bonnie. She's here. She's definitely a lass. She's not just a piece. She's the whole. I know it sounds weird. I didn't mean it the way it sounded, so I'm not editing. Don't look into that. The December porch. The December porch tries to push me inside. I'd much like to write a movie with poetry. My thoughts lost in Jack Frost's blade-like fingers. After this cigarette, I'm going inside. The lines aren't as sharp as I'd like. I'm buying a fire pit. Life is too short not to own one. The itch to go further is for youths and jerks. No, the icicles have not forced me into my home just yet. I'm relaxed, and it's about time. The chandelier is never far from my heart. Catriona Balfe, Eva Green, Michelle Gomez, Claudia Black, Christian Ritter, sometimes even the Gogginator, drive me into a fiery continuum. I am antediluvian in my lust for love like these. The cigarette wanes. I'm still ashamed of what I ate, but the beer is low calorie. Painting in cliches. I'm in no hurry to reach the cliff. I stare into the blue space and dream of peace. I'm wearing that Little Mermaid hat, spewing letters into the past. The sting of the cold on my hands, not enough to make this inner tongue go numb. I think about the book of life I'm supposed to write, tucked away in a rainy day. The rain is an old cliche I'd like to vacation in. The loneliness of a writer kept warm only by the fire inside my mind. I see my friends caught in its web, the heavy and shiny chains that teach us, wishing old loves would reach out and breach us. Take a beak. Take a drink of beer now. Just ride its wave like a saint. Titles unbeknownst. Kiss me like hell on a carousel. She's caramel and a show and tell. I'm just here for the words and a slice of cake. Listen to seashells. Shape the clay into a statue that suits you. Soot and smoke rest like a jittering glitter. Feel the fever until you're chilled. Rocky ice cubes and a cold Jack Daniels. A wage war in your heart. I'm relaxed like a Rick James Spader, Isaac Asimov. Can we forget to remember the meaningful things for just for tonight? Dream stream, nebulous, she walks in like a fine moisture of Romanian rain. I'm asking her to stay. She's a tiger, she's a reframe, she's a basket case of pasture of flames. A scatter stare into the planetarium of tension. A Tesla invention, a viral cure. I can barely stand after her sledgehammer to my Adobe knees. Oh, please be Claire, oh, please be she. I'm a mobster, clearly needing to sleep with the fish. I'm a cigar on a balcony sabbatical. I'm just a Christmas away. The wood I need to burn won't spark when it's wet. I dream and bleed the need to breed. Ready for random? My name is Random. The walls of life are decorated in unfinished stories. Most of us are bribed into lives that spit in the face of our hearts. Not Boston, but Austin. I shall follow the Brando Road. I've written thousands of songs, but none that ever told my tale directly. Rather, I choose random thoughts, graffiti on brick walls, a nuclear blast into a Colombian thesaurus factory. I think we need to think of beautiful and pure things for the next 60 seconds or so, and it will open a door. The hazy and crazy crescent phasy. I will not lead a moonless life. Dance under the moon with a girl. Kiss under the moon with a stranger. Spontaneously combust into conversation beneath her rays. Beyond small talk permanently, thoroughly and utterly. Do you understand the power of a tall glass of wine in the autumn night's breeze under a tree with her? I can conjure her imprint. Fluorescent blinding lights beaming from her sparkling skin onto the face of the silent earth. She is the night to a tired soldier. The rest he needs after the slaying and killing of kings crumble into humble ashes, the quietest. Deeper into the lone night, she's tapping at my window. We seek a long, enjoyable conversation by fire pit. I can smell love seeping through the fabric of space-time. She smells like autumn leaves, and we debate existentialism way past her bedtime. That sage I seek to have by my side in the quietest of moments. Not always agreeing, but a loving challenge to my paradigms. A Nadine, if you will, French form of Russian Slavic name Nadia. The name means hope in Russian. And hope is what it all means. One of the meanings we can give life. So I'm my own best friend on this gift of time we call tonight. Halloween is close. The cold in my nose makes me feel like I can see slightly further into the ether than norm. Celebrating the ghosts of ex-girlfriends past. It's a Christmas carol. I think I like to have a long and slow passionate kiss on Christmas when the mistletoe catches fire and the cupids sting. The flowers will howl once again. God the prequel. Is there a higher being that created the human race, a lone mind that programmed the universe? What's its origin story? Was it a rhyme that began time? Was it a long song that sang its way to sentience? Was it colors that helixed into hands, into emotion, cosmic fingers that felt its way around like a deaf and dumb girl, like a child's fingers surfing through the nebula-shaded paint? The day it became aware of what it is to be alone, that was a crucial day indeed. It took courage to create another life, then giving something beside yourself freed will. Love and war were born on the same day, but they were not identical twins. And till this day, two minds will quest to become one once more. That was a bit of a kind of a new agey poem I wrote back in the day. Of course, these days I follow Jesus Christ and the Bible. When the clouds slow down and die into night, when the rider's alone and the dust settles just right, we can gaze into planetary kingdoms of lives and be one with the taste of the present. Language's genesis first flutters with the great adventure which is love, with the intent to discover each other, to believe in the potential of unity, the potential of each library of existence. What great ideal and dream do we share? To know who and what we are and what we should do. What do we know? We know we will all die, but we don't know what it is to die. And so far, we can't know that. In the beginning, there was family, and those hunter-gatherers needed food, shelter, and, basic survival. But then all the rest of the time, there was family. Maybe the first dream was to map out Earth. Maybe it was to build a better crossbow or spear. Maybe it was how to make food taste better. Multiverse stew, thunder sailing across the moon face. She's singing stars across the canvas of darkness. Scarlet whiplash and a fiery grin. Do you ever wish it was October forever? A familiar voice rattles your chest. Can you keep a paragraph for me in your book, for someone who needs to believe in the haunting scent of beauty in the past? She's playing with her ferrets again. Her seemingly only peaceful friends. The night is too young to propose to. Uncontrollable lines that the actor must master in vain. Here they change again. Here we change again. The hocus pocus hypnosis, the alakazam anagram. Take a breath. You're on the ride. Strap into the dragon and fly not east, west, south, nor north. Go upward. And I guess that'll conclude the poetry reading for tonight. This has been the Wild Eric's traveling podcast, Poetry Night. And I read some poems I wrote, some long ago, some recent. I read some essays, something more like essays in the beginning. And I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, like and subscribe. And tell others about the podcast, that we've got a lot of great things coming up. I have an interview with Jack Murdoch. He is a magician. That's coming up. We have an interview with a credit expert and a very outgoing personality from Australia. My friend Judy has agreed to be on the podcast. So, everybody, hope you have a good night. I love you all. I pray for you all. Lord, bless everybody listening. And Lord, I thank you. You're my righteousness, because sometimes I say things that are weird. I'm too weird, eh? Actually, I want to do one more poem as Tony the Razor. It's a character I've invented. So I'm going to pull this to the bottom and see if I can find some poetry here. I'm going to read it as Tony the Razor. It's a little... Okay, Dating My Pillows is the name of this poem.
I've been dating my pillows for the last long time now, holding them close in the night like they had a soul. I'm falling asleep with these like I have a revelation before I can surrender. I'm falling asleep with this feeling like I have to have a revelation before I can surrender. The past is a blade, one side cutting veins, the other buttering my toast in the morning. But the memories I cherish, both light and dark. He met the muse just before dawn. He imagined it would be fresh and full of reds, birds and recollections. Spiritual infections are no stranger to us all. We are here to hear. We are to see into the sea, to touch and to touche. I do better in bright rooms, drink the fire from friends' tombs, one chromosome away from baboons. I've been in denial about cigarettes since the night she left, but they do make great, terrible neighbors. They whisper through the fence. Poetry came all the way from 1979 to have a bite of 2017, to shake the glitter off the doormat. It's here to be beautiful and tarnished, to celebrate the times in your life, your transcendent mediocrity. I respect the past. The laws of the land of love are always in flux, but these wet, moist, and dead trees are still beautiful to me. If you can look into the past without hate, you're closer to something else entirely. It's not on the menu. I can only dance when I hear a good 80s song. Branches collapse, so swing on them when you can. Cyborgs are attractive. Our love of the future, a laser eye and a passionate grip. Her films are lovely, science fiction firm in the violet dust of a stormy morning. Do you know the reckless feeling of love, like an atom bomb blast in your youth, where you feel like you're never going home again? These mysterious love stories are flagships of love. How many high school sweethearts are still together? It's nice to see, but did it turn out that way for you and me? I look for love in grocery stores, anywhere I can. When Lady Luck sat down for poker, they never brought her a free drink. Do you see? Do you say you want order? I'm sorry. We're out of order tonight. It's not on the menu. Out of my mind in a grocery store, trying to get home. Yes, I drank kombucha all night, and it got cold and shattered my teeth. I want to collect wisdom teeth. If you're hungry, eat the chip on your credit card. Lift the curse for a reason. Don't you want to dream like a child again? Say hello to your best friend who lives down the street. Play Nintendo. Just go play Nintendo. Fasting at the speed of light, that I am light, in this tremulous flight, as the lightning hits the key. I don't know how to. If I can fly, thank you, I'll glide like some squirrels I heard could. Coils of flesh we take in every breath. I heard change hit the floor. I heard change forevermore. Twist your windows, burn your willows. Can you throw out the shame and dance on the human brain in the flames? Taste the flame, slam the wine, sit right back and kiss me blind. I will protect your fine young bride. Her birthday is the same as mine. Down to the year, down to the dance. I'm heaving, I'm cleaving to fresh romance. Tripping in a nuclear sabbatical. I'm feeling so very radical. Bash your way into the kitchen, baby. Demand your way into my heart. I believe in us and a simple as math. You've got to figure fingers pulling through into your craft. Switchblade honey, my pink Babs bunny. Wine is your friend until the end. Jesus made wine out of water. It really doesn't get any cooler than that. The Bones of Rock and Roll, episode 7, I'm going into heaven. Can I ask you to tell me revelries? You're a knife, you're a feather, you're a renegade in leather. She's the one passing notes when now it's still a thing. Check out her golden dragon earring. Ask her for direction and what she's feeling. Canyons of love, volcanic ash. The ride's just began, baby. Feel the gush of wind and the whip of the trip. We will dive through the doors of time and space. We will go alone to where they cannot trace. Composite.
She's the rhythm of a new definition. She's the schism in a broad gray sky. Simple mistakes must us break into the blue. Mistakes are the ones you mustn't miss. I'm aware the world's going to end and I'm going to die, but this urgency to love and create something beautiful seems more important than the ending of it all. My soul is hungry for something that can only be found in certain books, key voices, and friends of destiny. I'm ravenous, to put it simply. Happiness is a war against sadness and mediocrity. If you're a warrior, you might as well be dead. No, that's not what I meant. If you're not a warrior, you might as well be dead. Tear a hole in my heart of the world. Tear a hole in the heart of the world. Make sure you're apart from the hurled memories of yesterday and sweet contraries that whisper her name in the night. Bonfires aimed at my head, heart, and hearsay. It is time to resurrect the purpose frozen under the ice. I feel I'm ready tonight. The climb, the rhyme, the actual good time. I'm unblinded for good. I was alone. I was desperate when we met. But no, it couldn't have been that. Your kiss was something beyond words. I'm entertained. I entertained the madness and fell into a storm. I never wanted to end. We can never be friends after this. This nebulous kiss I still taste. You were addicted, I noticed, but it never stop me from loving you. But oh yes, I knew it was a train on fire, burning right off the edge of a cliff. The tracks were damp since our eyes met. She was milky and skinny, and her eyes were an evil trinket glistening in each morning light. Moist, she loved me into bondage. She could make a man laugh in no way that no other woman could. Just as I shove off to new seas, I scream her name. It hurts to breathe the air without her. I'm lost in this theatric return to normality. Life is that girl you're afraid to talk to. It's the fear that you don't measure up, and that is the most inhibiting thing in life, not believing in yourself. We may not always get what we want, but we can be brave. And that in itself is one of the meanings of life. Library madness. Ever resent someone because they're not attracted to you? Love is a virus time may never cure. The trick is to admit you're insane. Then you must fight against what you feel is right. What? I don't know what I wrote there. That doesn't make sense. The key is to feel. Love distorts logic. Someone I once loved and still do said, "No one loves anyone, we're all just bored." A Sunday night at the old E Strings bar. Wish I'd stayed home, but the TV doesn't talk back, and this desolate corner of the bar is beginning to reek of poor planning. Finish the beer and go home, Lady Wisdom whispers. That old fine lady, she's the only one tonight. Journeys, there are more cracks in the wall than we realize, more opportunities the untrained eye is aware of. Happiness is a garden. How many seeds have you planted? How hard did you tend the soil? How many weeds did you pull? Did you water it? I've found universes in the concentrated thought that are books, different authors, different voices thundering in the stomach of my consciousness. I'm renewed and laser pointed. Dreams come true if you actually lay the bricks and complete the house piece by piece. She sits on the dock of the bay and sings me songs I never heard. It's a sweetly absurd avalanche in a mass. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, we can go through your favorite holidays backwards and fall straight into love. The caves near waterfalls, this is where we first kissed. In the mist of nature's cry, in the twinkling of an eye, I cry out to the Creator for sight beyond sight. And I'm not done! We've just begun. Who wants to consider tomorrow when you're dancing? My battery is running low, it's about to close. She's a phosphorescent memory, she's an imagination before Atari. Love is quite a mocker of beauty. It cannot be summoned, conjured, or manifested. It's the unexpected rain on your rooftop you hear on a Saturday morning. It's when you cannot stay away from something you should, and it's not always forever, but maybe it's worth it. Sometimes I wear her face looked like a Christmas mug. The Lord and soup. I ate so much potato salad I lost my hearing once. And that is the Pandora verse. All right, good night, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this stream of consciousness. Some of it was actual just old written poetry, just, strewn together like spaghetti and haywire. So I hope you have soothing dreams tonight, each or one of you, that you dream of far-off lands and beautiful landscapes and fresh breezes, the kind of breezes that take you back to the days of freedom, to the days where your eyes had more of a glow. And I challenge you to jump back in and let that glow flow. I love you all. This is Wild Eric, signing out, baby. Sleep well.